What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to start off by talking about the price action that has been happening, talking about some factors, what's causing so much fluctuation in the price, go over some updated data points very relevant to a lot of investors, and tie it all together with some technical analysis. But before I get into any of that, you guys know the deal. Smash your thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, I do daily videos on trending stocks, crypto, I do it all. So make sure you do subscribe. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom screen. I also do weekly live streams for members only, so even more of an incentive to sign up. With that, let's get right to it. So as you can see on intraday chart, it's been all over the place. Started out very much red with the broader market. It did bounce back very hard, largely because of this. So Biden did say that Congress needs to pass a bill to boost the US chip industry, and obviously that is one thing that the whole EV sector has been lacking. So that was definitely giving a nice little boost. It is starting to go back down with the broader market for lots of different reasons. In addition to that, during this sell-off in the first thing in the morning, a lot of shorts did take advantage and close out their position. So as of right now, 1558 is a short interest, down roughly about 5% from 1 week prior. Utilization is still 100%, still very expensive to borrow as well. So the average cost to borrow is 65.78%. Day by day change though, it did actually decrease by 2.18%, which works out to be 2.7 million shares being returned. So that is definitely very good. And with utilization still at 100% and it being very costly to borrow, short squeeze is still technically on the table. Again, we just need a very good catalyst. Also, I do want to go over options activity. So options activity has been very hot with Lucid for quite some time. We all know that. But lately, over the last day, it has turned to a very bearish signal. So you can see for the most part, majority of them have been puts, very small and minuscule, but still, regardless of that, there still is a lot of upside. Today, there was 11 orders totaling 18.29 million for options, and with only 1% of them being positive. So that is something to watch for. Yesterday, on the contrary though, there's 152.99 million total options with 74 orders, 41% of them being positive. So overall, a lot of good things. Options are starting to slow down a little bit, and obviously the broader market and fears are starting to get to a lot of individuals when it comes to investing in Lucid. Again though, you guys know my mentality on investing in Lucid. It is a very long-term investment, and especially if you compare and contrast it with Tesla, it is doing leaps and bounds better than Tesla, especially at its starting stages. So if you do want to think about it in that concept, Lucid is a beginning company just starting out, and it's already accomplished so much. So just because there's short-term noise doesn't mean it's anything wrong. I personally am a very long-term investor, so I do not really necessarily care so much about this short-term noise. The reason why I bring this up is because a lot of retail investors do get easily spooked by a lot of this, so I like to reiterate that and hopefully give you the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that you need to know. And keeping in line with that, a lot of retail investors also like this, a lot of institutional ownership. So this is all the updates from the institutions and hedge funds that have been submitting their 13Fs. As you can see over the last little bit, there is quite a lot, and this huge wall of green, some of which are fairly small. And my hypothesis when it comes to a lot of these, especially this Gamma, has only 10 shares. When it comes to Fintel and someone submitting the 13F, they don't necessarily have to disclose that they're shorting, especially if their net actually has more, because a lot of strategies, a lot of institutions do have long positions and short positions at the same time. Just the majority of institutions have a lot more longer positions than short. So this is why you get a lot of institutions such as 𝗪𝗓 Assets, whatever that is, only has 10 shares. The reason why it's only 10 shares is majority of which is probably they are doing, again, that strategy. Like I mentioned, they have a short position as well as a long position. So this is why in reality you do get a lot of these institutions that have very minimal, because most likely a lot of you actually watching right now already have more than 10 shares or 500 shares or possibly more than 1,000 shares. A lot of this doesn't make sense at the end, but this is how you can easily conclude who potentially is shorting it. And keep in mind as well, the live ticker to my right or left, currently down 2.53%, 26 million in volume, 50 as far as the overall average, and block volume. So 1.7 million shares being purchased today just by institutions. Always take a look at that, and I have started to add that number of trades to the last column, 179,000 as far as overall trades today, because I am starting to watch that, because if you do piece that together with some other technicals, it does give you a good representation of other things. With that, I'm just going to tie it all together with some technical analysis. So I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So momentum, despite the sell-off that's been happening, we are still actually gaining buy buyers. Not as much as before, but we still are, which is positive. Stochastic, you can see, is having still that deviation red line above the black, so technically still showing a bearish sentiment. RSI is fairly neutral at 44. We are currently in the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. We did transition over that, so Monday will be a very pivotal day, because if we do continue and stay in the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band for 2 consecutive days, typically that is a bearish sentiment, but as of right now, nothing really holding from that. And on the actual chart, we are between the 50 and 100 day moving averages, so most likely we are going to be range bound between this until again we get a good catalyst. And I have done quite a lot of videos about huge catalysts that you need to buy on, so make sure you guys take a look at a lot of those. Subscribe if you haven't already, smash the thumbs up. Definitely smashing the thumbs up, or hitting whatever you want to call it, it does help push Lucid videos out as best as possible, because we need a big community. We are getting more and more community as well, so I appreciate all of that. In addition to that though, I'm just going to touch on some resistance and support levels. A lot of people seem to like this. So resistance first, second, and third, 41, 44, and 45. So that has pulled down a little bit. As you can see, first, second, and third support points, 37, 35, and 33. So we all know 35 is our line in the sand. That is the do or die point. Today though, we did actually break past the first support point, but I don't strongly feel that that is really indicative of any overall trend. It is just what it is right now. The broader market is just in a massive sell-off and just hitting growth stocks hard. So overall, it is fairly good. Like I said, most likely it is just waiting for the next big catalyst to be announced. Like I've been saying, there is a lot of good catalysts to buy on for February, or even long term, again, depending on your time horizon. But just also want to mention as well, it is going to be the patient investors that make the most out of all this, because there is, as of right now, a lot of short-term noise, fluctuations in the price that could easily cause a lot of emotional distress and things like that. You need to do your due diligence, because keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. So do your initial due diligence. If you like the company Lucid as much as I do, you know it's going to be a long-term investment, and you're not necessarily going to care so much long-term if you bought at 37. If you bought at 39, if you bought at 42, it doesn't really make a difference. Next year, when it is 200 plus or whatever it might be, you're not going to care. So just try and think in that concept as well, because I have been getting quite a lot of comments from some retail investors saying that obviously they're panicking over these fluctuations in price. So again, just want to reiterate that sometimes it's good to hear. With that, let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below. If you haven't already, smash the thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel, again, don't forget to join as a member. I greatly appreciate that. I do a lot of live streams, priority responses. You get cool emojis, a lot of fun things, but ultimately it does show your support towards the channel, which is I greatly appreciate. With that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.